What up, what up, what up, and welcome to the HOMI FRNZ Podcast. I'm your host, Top South Will. I normally have Albert Craig here, but he's out taking care of family business. But anyways, we're here with an exclusive interview. I got my man, Jon Woo, in the building. And he brought another guest with him, Shean Barker, another artist from around the way. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to get into this conversation, man. We recently had a conversation. We had GB on, and he wanted to talk about the Radcliff Mount Rushmore. So from there, that sparked a whole debate about a whole bunch of different things as far as who should be on this list, who shouldn't be on this list. For me, I always said that it's subjective. So nobody can say who my top 4 artists are who I like to listen to, just like I can't tell who his should be or anything like that. But anyways, it sparked this big debate. And one thing that we came up with, people didn't know that Woo used to rap. They looked at him as a producer. We spoke about Troy, Country Boy Entertainment, and talked about everything that they had going on as well. From back in the day, we talked about Bread Boy and everything that they had going on as well. So I wanted to bring Woo on, and we wanted to have a conversation so we can get some history from Jon Woo, the producer, the rapper, about how things were back in the day. But without me speaking too much, we're going to get right into it. But before we get there, man, what's up? What's been going on with you?
Man, staying busy.
Yeah,
never not busy.
Man, I already know it. You always working, got something going on.
Always.
You know what I'm saying? And I got Shean in the building. What's up, Shean? How you been doing, man?
Hold on, man. Staying still, bro.
Man, last time I saw you was in the gas. We was at the gas station. I think he was getting off work and something like that. I was doing something. We was in the gas station, man. But y'all who don't know, Shean and Kills and all them, man, they put a mean record out about me and damn back in the day. Yeah, man, they went crazy on the Shean.
I didn't know my bad, right?
Yeah, I was Shean talking crazy, so it was dope though. I had to give him this props for that. I'm not a rapper, so there's no way for me to respond. The thing I can do is produce content. But anyways, let's get into it, man. I got a couple questions. I was gonna try to just freestyle this, but I felt like I had to come with some questions so I can be on point when we're talking about this. But take us back to the 90s, Woo. Late 90s when, everybody was doing their thing. And what was that music scene like back then?
I think like back then it was really new.
Yeah.
It's like, cause you got to think, bro, we came up in the era when music first kind of really took off. You know what I'm saying? I remember when hip hop was in the news, was being called a fad. I remember that. And I remember being like, is this thing going to even, is this real? You know what I'm saying? Fast forward, it's a real thing. And when I learned about burning CDs and we could record our own music, I was like, man, we should try to do that. You know what I mean? But the music scene, it was fresh. It was new. Everybody was getting into rap. It wasn't so technical at the time. Yeah. Nobody was like trying to be a business. It was fun. It was like us discovering like something that we love to do. So I think that in the 90s, it was dope. And it was, we was inspired by so many great artists at the time. Like we had back-to-back phenomenal acts come out. So we was like, I think very, very inspired to be in this game. So
for sure. That's real deal. So when you came into the game, did you come in automatically as a producer, or were you more focused on trying to be an artist and spec?
I used to get sent to I don't know if they call it this today, but in North Hardin they had a thing called AIM. It was in school suspension, right? I used to get in so much trouble. I think I had AIM for half a year. Like I was in AIM for half the school year.
Oh yeah.
And so me and this other dude, Dre Hayes, was from here. We was both in AIM, and he wrote a little rap to me and passed it, with notes. Back then, it was his notes. Our text messaging, right? So he sends me a note, and it's got like some bars on it. So I'm in AIM. We bored. I would just write. First rap I ever wrote, and I sent it back to him. And I remember reading it, and I was like, man, this is kind of dope, though. And then I remember I took it and I rapped it to an instrumental, and I was like, and a friend of mine was like, man, you wrote that? I was like, yeah. I was like, in that little rush of like, dang, you think I'm dope? I ran with it, you feel me? And so I started rapping, and I was heavily influenced by Wu-Tang, like heavily influenced, obviously, because everybody calls me Woo.
Yeah.
So my brain was always wrapped around like being in a group.
Mm-hmm.
my brain was just always wired to like, you got to be in a group, you know, and things like that. And so, you know, that's how I ended up. I think somehow I'm trying to see. I don't even remember how I found Country Boy, but I just remember being there and that kind of being the first time that I like rapped on a mic and stuff like that. And it was a makeshift studio, wasn't nothing crazy, but back then it seemed crazy. But like when you get older and you know the business and then you think back, it was probably some other people more experienced that would have looked at what we got and like, what y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? But for us, it was like, man, this is everything. So, you know, so that's, for me, that's kind of how it started. And I started rapping first. And then, you know, and this is part of the stories we'll talk about, but a few individuals kind of played me a little funny. And so I was like, all right, bet. I'm gonna go learn to produce on my own. And so that's what I did. And
so that's how you got into producing.
That's how I got into producing. But I first started, like I said, I started going to Troy's. I would make beats on this little keyboard. I didn't really know what I was doing, but they came out all right. You know what I'm saying? And
Wow.
the Kawhi 5000, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And it's funny because that name sounds so outdated, but it sounds like an old piece of equipment.
So Sean, you was back here. Were you back here on the scene too? Back during that time? And what's your affiliation and how did you learn about Troy, Country Boy Entertainment, and everything that they had going on?
It was Kelly's older brother. He used to be out in the streets, running around doing what he had to do, doing whatever he was doing. But he knew that me and Kelly loved to make music, so he knew about a studio up in Radcliff, and he thought that it'd be a good idea if we went up there and seen what was going on. So that was about it. That's where we came across Woo. That's where I first met him at, in the studio. So that's about it for real.
Yeah, and then and from that though, it's like there was like a discrepancy and for some reason, you know, Troy didn't want to work with them or whatever, or it was something like that, or there was a new producer. He was bringing in Beta at the time, right? But, you know, it was just kind of like, I kind of got thrown under the bus. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't got what it takes, or you can't compete with this kid. And so that kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
So,
you know?
so before we get to Troy and Country Boy, I know that's part of the cloth that you come from, going in there recording with Troy, and you know from there having that whatever issue took place, and then you parting ways and going to produce. But back then, there were a few other acts out here who was doing their thing. So, Boss Skrilla, you got Vernay, Matt Capone. Of course, Country Boy Entertainment, Unplugged Thugs, and Get Money Click. Did you ever have the opportunity to produce or work with any of those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I produced for me and Vo, Unplugged. Me and him was like peanut butter and jelly. Like we stuck together and made music every day. You know what I'm saying? So I was really making beats with him a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure this is after Troy, but that's when I got my first beat machine, and me and Vo got together and we would record. I had a 4-track tape recorder, and I would just go to his crib, plug up, tape record. It was no bigger than this. Or we had a studio. We was like, yo, we got a recording studio. You know what I'm saying? And we would record. We would just do a bunch of freestyle tapes and things like that.
A lot of it was like, where could we go to get our hands on some of this equipment?
Yeah.
I mean, we was hunting that stuff out. Like, if it was a beat machine, we might be all over there looking at Woo making a beat. You know what I'm saying? It was just like that. Just wanted to be around the music and look at somebody making some music and just absorbing as much as I could. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who had some equipment, I was basically there. You know what I'm saying? I was in there. I wanted to see what was going on and see what I could learn, see what was shaking. And that's how it was going down then.
Yeah, I think after we kind of parted with Troy, what was the homeboy's name that helped us with the equipment? Was it L?
Yeah.
L? Yeah, a guy named L. You know, a hustler, whatever, was like, yo, I'll rent the equipment for you. I think we got it. We didn't even have the manual with it. And it was like, took us like 3 weeks to even figure it out.
MPC didn't even have the discs. We was missing the discs.
So, you know, but that was kind of the start of like jumping into producing it.
That's the back in those days when it was, we used to always say it was hard to get into the studio back in those days. And, you know, now going to the studio is so easily accessible because you can, you know, spend a few $100s and go get you a kit from off of Amazon and boom.
It wasn't, it's what I try to tell, like, yo, there wasn't no studio. It wasn't one. There wasn't no thing of like, just like young artists today can get up and like, man, I'm gonna go book a session. You couldn't do that. It didn't exist. It was like, you know what I mean? So like even your dreams of even being that was that much harder because what was the pathway?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you get in the studio? We didn't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we would just figure it out, get little pieces, and then we found a couple studios like in Louisville. We would go book out. I think one of my first real studio session was with them in Louisville. I think it was like we paid like $60. None of us had the money.
Right.
It was crazy. We recorded the whole record, and we was broke. The dude is an old black. It's funny because he looked like the old school black dude, chubby, like I think maybe Jerry curl, maybe, and was like, "I know you ain't in here without my money." And I was like,
Oh, y'all man finna say y'all ain't got my money.
That's what.
man, we came up with it. I forget how, but we came up with it real quick and we was good. But, you know, yeah, there wasn't no studios like it is now. And, you know, I have my own studio and it blows me away every time I could just wake up and go do music.
So I'm sure seeing the setup that Troy had, because Troy from Country Boy Entertainment, he ended up he had a studio in the back of his barbershop.
Yeah.
So during that time, a lot of people would come through, you know, record there. Of course, he had his team and they would record there, do their thing. So seeing him and having, you know, having access to that studio must have been something major for you at that time.
Because at the time we don't know, like I said, we just wanted to be around anything musical.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, if I know that I can come in here and literally, like, not even make beats, if I could just sit here and watch y'all do music, I was happy. So it was like, yeah, I wanna be there, and that was the only place to go at the time.
Right. Nah, that's how it was too. I mean, later on, years later, when Tremaine would come around and we would go up to Frankfurt with you, just being in there, just being in that environment, I felt the same way. So I understood that, because there was I couldn't rap, so I just wanted to have some side of a hands-on thing when it came to the music. You know, whether I was just pushing buttons on the board and recording somebody, or, you know what I mean, trying to help finance anything that they had going on. That was really what I wanted to do,
Right.
when it came to it. But in like 97, 98, Troy, I don't want to say that those are the correct dates, but around that time, I want to say Troy formulated Country Boy Entertainment, CBE. Do you remember the artists who were affiliated with the label?
I think when I was there, it was when I was there, it was me and MJ. Right. Shout out to Mike. Shout out to MJ. It was me and MJ. MJ was like the baby of the group. I think Tank was there. Derek Dorsey was there. And there was Mario.
I was there when Mario and Rod was there.
Mario Rod. Is it Rob or Rod?
Rod.
Yeah. That when we was there, it was mostly them. Like Troy, Rod, Mario, me, and MJ, I think. After I left, then that's when he had Beta, he got Low. I think they started doing music because, you know, they all wanted to do music too, so they worked with him after that.
And then you also had he also had Grip come around too, Baby G.
Baby G, all of them started working with him. And you know, just, you know, giving credit where credit's due, like, you know, he used to book us shows. Troy used to have us in Louisville doing shows in the park. And I don't know no better. I'm thinking like I'm made the big time, you feel me? So you know, we did all that, and so yeah, it was, I would say that was like the first person to attempt it in that way.
Okay.
Not necessarily on that scale, but in that way, I'm gonna do a label. You know, because that's around was that Master P time and all that stuff?
Yeah. That was Master P time.
So you were seeing the effects of that era.
Yeah.
You know?
Because didn't they have like some sort of beef with Master P where they created a record?
I think so.
It was like something about I don't know if it had something to, I can't remember what it was, but I remember they had a beef, because I remember
it was something like that. And I remember even back then being like, bro, you gonna beef with Master P?
Yeah.
Like, seriously? Is this what you're doing? Like,
Yeah.
let's make music, bro. Like, but you know, I do remember that though, now that you bring it up.
Yeah.
And
I remember going out and I would see something somewhere. I don't know if it was an Avatar, because, you know, we had Avatar records back in the day. But yeah.
Raymond. Wow, that's his story.
Yeah, so we would have, you know, so I don't know if it was I went there and seen it or whether I seen it at other places, but I remember it may have been at the barbershop, because I used to go there and get my hair cut. So you remember Miss Veronica, Miss
Yeah.
V used to cut me all the time. That's where I went to. But I remember he had all the bars. That was the popping barbershop that I knew about.
Yeah, this is a barbershop was jumping. The shop was jumping.
So that's what made it kind of a hub. Yeah. A lot of people was around that spot. They was coming in there getting cuts. And if they wanted to come back and see the studio, he was happy to show the studio out to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And a lot of people that was coming there were people in the community, so they would hear the music. They would tell you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, that happened.
Now, so like I said earlier, we had this Mount Rushmore debate. We had this conversation, and Troy, he stated the following. He said in '98, I laid the groundwork for Hardin County hip hop. I organized the first talent show at Trojan's Den, bringing together local talent like Woo John, who started making beats in the back of my barbershop. Those early collaborations were crucial. Woo John and I produced over 50 tracks, setting the stage for the first BG Hust album. Do you remember those? Do you remember doing any of that and how all that played out?
I don't know what he used a lot of those beats for. I did used to go in there and make a bunch of beats. I'd just be in there making beats, and they used whatever. I don't remember what they were used for. Was I doing music before then is what I'm trying to remember. I think I was on a small scale myself, just trying to figure. That's what led me to find a studio,
Right?
Because people forget too. I used to work with Bill Shop. He had a studio. He had probably what we would call a real studio back then, because he had a digital recorder, and that was like, and his mic was in a booth, and you know what I'm saying. So I would go there. So he was here too, but that was like the only two.
So let me ask you this, because I remember back in the day when we first came across you, who was up at the youth center.
Mm.
You would come through, and me and Tremaine were there, and you were spitting verses and you were rapping.
I know you got to tell what I was rapping though.
He was.
Hold on, check this out. Through the lights, cameras in action, glamour, glitters, and gold, I unfold the scroll, plan, see the stampede, the glow when I'm deceased. My inner beast arrives like yeast. What he saying? See, around like yeast to conquer peace, leaving savages to roam in the streets, live on the run. Police paying me to give him my gun, trick my wisdom with the system that imprisoned my son. Smoke a go, leave a whole heat nonchalantly. I would rap that Nas verse everywhere.
All the time. So we were, and I never forget, because we talked about this when I interviewed you before. You would spit that Nas verse, and Tremaine was like, "Man, that's Nas." That one time when we was us there.
But it felt good, because I was like, oh, y'all listen to Nas too?
Right. But this is what I was trying to get to though. But there was a spot that y'all were leaving from that youth center, and there was a spot on Knox that y'all was going to.
Damn.
I don't know if you remember that. It was right there in the neighborhood, right down the street from there. I don't know if the dude had a studio there, or if that just was a place where y'all was just kicking it at.
It was a job?
I couldn't remember.
And white dude.
We were shorty, so we really didn't know. We just know that y'all was going over that way.
It was a dude named Josh Allen, white dude in the military from Virginia.
Okay.
He was cool with another dude from Fort Knox named Alex Poppy Photos.
I remember that dude.
Yeah, Alex got beat up in the youth center with the pool balls. It was like a big thing. They beat the hell out of him. But him and Josh was friends, and I met Josh. Josh was in the military. Josh had an Ensoniq keyboard, and he had an MPC rack. That was the first time I got to use the MPC plus the Ensoniq, which is famous for like Kanye using an Ensoniq keyboard. And so that's the first time I got introduced to sampling, and then being able to lay keys over your sample and bass lines. And I was like, yo, you know what I'm saying? And we would go over his crib and just sit in his room and make beats. Well, he would like make beats all day, and I just have to sit there and watch. But, he would let me in his crib when he was out in the field, and I would go over his crib, make beats and record and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's dope. So in the beginning of this statement that Troy made, he said he laid the groundwork, you know what I'm saying, for Hardin County hip hop. Now, I spoke to a couple other people, because for me, Country Boy, Troy, and everything that they were doing were kind of like the first thing that I saw as well, because I was just coming here from Germany, military brat, just getting here from Germany. So hearing about them, that's what I saw. But as I spoke to like Jay Chandler, he's been getting at me. He used to DJ back in those days, right? Mm-hmm. So him, K Razor, he named a couple other cats who used to also DJ as well.
Shout out to Ken.
He was saying that like 95, Vernay was on the scene doing his thing down here. When did you come across Vernay or some of those other individuals who were doing well, let me ask you this. Were there any other individuals who were doing their thing prior to the country boy thing kicking off in
As early as I can remember, you know, just being real, for me, Troy was probably the first person that I knew of, right? I can't say he was the first that started or whatever, but that was the first person that I knew of. You know, I didn't know anybody that had a label, that was trying to have a label, you know what I'm saying? Or trying to build a group. And
that was just,
right?
they solo.
Nobody was doing that, so I would give that to him. Like, he was probably the first one to do that. How impactful that was, I'd debate that. You know what I'm saying? But was he the first one? The first one I remember, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
That's what's up. So that Trojans Den talent show, do you remember that night, how it went? Well, what was that like for y'all, since you put this talent show on, you got everybody coming out, because it's not really a whole bunch to do around here, so everybody probably did go to the Trojans Den. What was it like being on that stage in front of everybody, you know what I mean, showcasing y'all talent out there?
I thought it was fun. To me, I was having a good time. I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know any better. I was naive. So, you know, like when they say ignorance is bliss, right? I was ignorant. I didn't know nothing. So I'm just out. I'm here. I'm at the show. I performed in front of 30 people. Cool. To me, that was a big deal, though. Right. See what I'm saying? It wasn't until I got older when I started looking back and seeing how not dope that was.
So let me ask you this. When you say you was ignorant, would you say your ignorance was because you did not understand, that you did not know the business? I
didn't know the business.
Gotcha.
I didn't understand the business. I didn't know the infrastructure. I didn't know how things work. So when you walk me into a room, you got a microphone, a DAT machine, and I'm thinking like, oh, you got a real studio. But fast forward to me today, I'm like, nah, this ain't the right. It don't sound right in here. So I'm way more technical now. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying back then that diminished the experience. It didn't. You know what I'm saying? Again, I think I was just out having fun, and I was experiencing new things that led me to learn to want to be in it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I can only imagine that people everywhere probably were starting and building studios like Troy, were doing everywhere across the world.
Local talent shows. Like the one he had, I think he took us to Louisville. He had the talent show here. I think he did one at E-Town. So we was moving around, and we was performing in front of small little crowds.
Right.
It was cool. But, you know, yeah, so, but, you know, back then, again, it was just fun, you know, performing in front of people, and you just figuring it out.
Yeah, going to school, and everybody's like, yeah, you killed that. You know, I'm sitting here, sitting there.
What I learned most about those experiences was like, I like the feeling of it.
Yeah,
that's what I was learning. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I wasn't really even looking into the technical part of it. I just know that I like the feeling and then bringing the energy, and then it just coming through the room. It was great. Really, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So Shean, when did you get into? I know you talked about going back in the day with Kale's brother, and y'all started doing y'all thing. Were you a part of those talent shows and rapping and recording with Country Boy or at their studio?
We did a couple. We did one down at the Pritchard Community Center.
I think I was there for that one,
and it was pretty big. It went pretty good. You know what I mean? And that was a rush, man. I'm not gonna lie. It was a great feeling. And then we did one up in I think it was called Camp Carlson, and it just that one didn't go so well. I mean, there was a whole lot of technical issues. I say that, a whole lot of technical issues. But
so that one at Camp Carlson was a outside venue.
It was inside.
It was inside. Oh yeah, they did have the building out there where you can perform on the inside of Camp Carlson. Okay, got you. So you also had the opportunity to work with Troy and Country Boy as well. Now, were you a part of that imprint, or was there a different imprint that you were a part of or trying to create back when you was doing your thing?
There was Meek Kelly, Johnny, and Tyron. We had caught ourselves the affiliation, and I guess that was our contribution, you know what I mean? And Troy had this thing up there, and we wanted to go somewhere and make some music. Point down to the blank. I think the Tyramator went up there and got his hair cut or something like that, but word got back that there was a studio for to record at, you know what I'm saying? So we went up there and try to see what it was about. And like I said, that's where then John was in there. So, and there was a whole lot of, I'm not going to get into the ins and outs of it, but there was just some things that I didn't really jive with, even as a kid, like signing contracts and like stuff like that. It just seemed like we're out here having fun. You know what I mean? Like why do I need to sign anything? You know what I'm saying? Like I just didn't really understand what was going on. You know what I'm saying? So that was about the, you know what I'm saying, about the gist of it. You feel me?
Yeah. Oh, so during that time, those artists who were affiliated with Country Boy were signed to Country Boy. They had contracts and were signed to Country Boy.
I don't know. I think so. I do remember like paperwork conversations, but I never signed that too. It was just I'm the same sentiment as Sean. I was just like, what are we talking about? I'm just trying to make music. I don't know nothing about this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I can't remember the paperwork per se, but I do remember. I put it like this, and it's again, and it's not no shade. It's just I'm just telling the truth, and it's like what I know now. If I would have known that what I know now back then, I wouldn't have been there, because it was like y'all don't really know what you're doing. But to that defense, none of us did.
Right.
That was an era when nobody.
Would you say Troy was trying to figure it out?
He was trying to figure it out
as he went along.
Yeah, he was trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to figure it out, and you know, so I give him that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what's up. Now, Johnny, you mentioned Johnny. Johnny was did he rap, or was he producing too? Because I know he's a producer, or he producing records later on, right? Or what?
You talking about Johnny Bub?
I think so.
Johnny, Johnny, yeah.
Yeah.
He was rapping.
He was rapping.
Oh, okay.
Go by the name of Cautious.
Was it Cautious?
Yeah.
I think I'll just call him Johnny.
I think when I met him later on, back when he was what were y'all? Y'all was Exit 94.
94. Yes.
Yeah, Exit 94. He producing it? I think I met him when he would as a producer. Yeah. Okay, got you. Yeah. So man, damn. I've been around doing. I think he's been around doing this thing for a minute. Then I didn't even realize that. So let me ask you this: what about Tex? So Tex was also down here. He was a rapper before he started doing his thing as a producer and as a label as well. Do y'all remember Tex and him rapping? Because I think he ended up going on tour with like. One cat, I can't think of the cat's name, but he passed away a few years ago.
I don't remember.
But I think they went on the Mystical tour back in the day or whatever.
Tex. Oh wait. Which Tex we talking about?
Tex, Bread Boy Tex.
Oh, so I don't know. I know when they was doing that thing, but I don't.
Okay, I think before that, Tex was a rapper. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And when he was down here, so I can't remember what he went by, but he did his thing. Do you recall that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I remember rapping with Bread Boy.
Not even Bread Boy. Before Bread Boy, it was Tex was just a rapper for himself.
I did not know Tex before that.
Okay, I got you.
Just the end of it
through Bread Boy. Okay, well, we're gonna get to the we'll get to the Bread Boy stuff.
That's another thing too. It'd be cool to have them coming to how that started, because I don't even know.
Yeah. So that's one thing I know. I ended up meeting this dude. He had a bunch of pictures of Tex on tour when they went on tour with Mystical and all the type of stuff that they were doing. So I know Tex had done his thing before he started the Bread Boy imprint.
Right.
Now, so okay, so cool. I asked you that. Now, those 50 beats that you produce for for Country Boy Entertainment, how involved was Troy with that process of helping you make those beats?
Not that involved. I mean, he would maybe say what he liked, what he did. I would just do so, but it wasn't that involved. You know what I mean? It was a suggestion here and there, but it wasn't when you make those kind of claims where I think you got to clarify, because to be, like I have a pretty strong reputation. It's like, not that it matters up to that point, but you got to just tell the truth, bro. You wasn't involved like that. Like the way you say it is like, man, I was hands on with it, and it just wasn't that. It was like, yeah, I like that. No, I don't like that. That's about, or he might say, can you try to do this? It might give that kind of, but it wasn't never like what I would consider what that should be called today.
Gotcha. Yeah, because that was one thing I was like, when he said he's hands on, I took it as if he was.
But I don't know, and that's the narrative I hate. I hate when people tweak the narrative a little bit. Stop using these, ambiguous statements to make it sound like it's something it's not. Like we was in the studio together. I made a bunch of beats. You cap them. You had input on a couple, but you got to kind of frame it that way. Don't frame it like you was just involved in everything.
Think the Woo today, what would you say that those the quality of those beats were? Would you think some of them was
My beats were terrible. As much, hey, listen, as much as I want to big myself up, because you know me, but yeah, they were terrible, you know. But they were terrible, and that situation actually is what got me. I got better from it because of that situation. Because when I left, I was like, you know, I kind of had the drawing complex where he's just nitpicking and just finding reasons to like get motivated, and so for me, that's what that was when I left that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now you keep saying that you left. What was that relationship? So I obviously the relationship was cool at one point in time. You had a cool relationship. You were there. You were recording or doing your thing. Was there something that happened that soured that relationship that you decided that it was time for you to pack up your talents and go do something somewhere else? I mean, of course you was doing your thing. You was doing your own thing on the side anyway, but what made you stop being affiliated with Country Boy Entertainment and just, you know, jump in your own life?
I think it was the paperwork thing. I think that was a thing that I didn't want to do too. But I think the biggest part, you know, was when I got told, because this is when they found Beta, but with Carrington at the time, right? And they kind of like put us against each other, which I never liked back then. You know what I'm saying? And at that time, yeah, Beta was he could play, and you got to think back then, a motherfucker who could play was it.
Yeah,
like what I was doing didn't really even exist at the time. I didn't, you know, but what he was doing was that was the producer. Like he, you know, but it was just the way that it was presented to me, and I think I was told that I couldn't hold a candle to him, and you know what I mean. And I was trying to work with Sean and these guys, and I think that was frowned upon. So I was like, you know what, bro, I'm gonna keep it moving. Like, I don't have to be here. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that, when I left that, I was like, you know, I had a chip on my shoulder. I was like, you know, I wanted to prove everybody wrong. You know?
So you didn't, in no way for you to get those 50 beats that you had produced?
I believe that a lot of them beats came home with us. We just didn't have the DAT machine.
Yeah, you're right.
But it was on DAT, because a lot of that shit was it wasn't digital. It was analog. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if there was a computer in that studio.
It was tape on tape.
They're DAT tapes. You see what I'm saying? And at one point when the shit was getting shaky, we had to go up there and he was kind of holding the tapes hostage. You know what I'm saying? We had to go up there and repossess them. And a lot of that shit came home with us, but we just didn't have the DAT machine to plug the motherfuckers into the tape. You feel me?
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So when you couldn't, so he still had them, so therefore he still later on down the line was able to have those beats utilized. I mean, not a big deal, because I know you like, it is what it is. I'm finna go do my thing, but you know, you still put in a lot of work with making those beats on that for Country Boy and wherever they were at, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and that, you know. Yeah, I mean, I would go in there and make beats all day, but I just felt underappreciated, you know what I'm saying? And, but again, I'm saying all that to say, because when I left there is when I really got on my producer game, and working with these guys was like it for me, because their style of rapping was matched with how I felt about production.
Okay.
And I was like, this is a perfect marriage, you know what I'm saying? And I think was you in school then, Sean, or not? Yeah. I would go and pick up like Sean and Kelly from school. You know, or would I pick you up? Like, we would do that and go and try, and we to go talk about music. And even that was different. Even like the bonding we had over the music was different. I was like, I felt my like tribe, my crew, you know what I'm saying? And they accepted me just as much, because they were their own thing at the time. But it was like, man, this is perfect. We should work together. So, and then we worked together for a while.
Now, where did Troy or whoever find Be The Mills at?
I don't know. I just remember, you could recall, bro, you got a great memory, bro. Your memory's like, I'm blown away by the stuff.
Do you remember Be The Mills coming on the scene, Sean?
I'm not sure if Beta did the Thirsty, but how I got in contact with Vernay was because Vernay had a cassette tape out, and I'm pretty sure it had a gold inset, and it had a phone number. And I didn't even know Vernay. I never met him before. But that's how hungry and thirsty I was to learn how to get around these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
Now, look, if you want to talk about that, that has to be like one of the best records of all time to come out, because that record, everybody, what? It was, at that time, I was like built Budden as a producer, and people was showing me love. But I remember when that came out. I remember I was like, felt a little threatened.
Yeah, and how I knew Beater was that Vernay always fuck with Beater.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was always Vernay and Beater.
And who was sung on that Thirsty too? Because we was blown away. But was it Vernay's brother?
I think so.
He sung on it. We was like, what is this? And, you know what I'm saying? It was different. It was fire.
Yeah.
So
What's Vernay's brother name?
dark skin, right?
Dark skin.
Yeah, I forget his name. But
Yeah, I met him before. Yeah, he could sing. Yeah, I think I met him before years later when
that was damn.
somewhere dealing with Vernay. I can't remember, but I want to say I met him.
We gotta find that record.
Man, that's under somewhere.
That record was hard.
Oh, I know. You know, Vernay got all that.
Yeah,
I'm sure Vernay got that. But that's the Thirsty record, right?
Yeah, that shit was hard. I ain't gonna lie. So I remember even my people in my camp was like, "Hey man, did you hear this record?"
That's crazy. Kind of like when when you said that, it took me back to that scene when on the Biggie documentary when that song came on the radio when Pac was dissing Big. He's like, "Oh, you gotta hear this." You hear this?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. So and I'm trying to remember because me and Vernay got into it. We did this record. We was at a talent show. Was that Pritchard? That wasn't Pritchard, was it? In E-Town?
I think it was in Lion Grove.
It was a talent show, and they was acting like they was gonna jump me, right?
Uh-huh.
And and I was like, okay, cool. So I remember I leave there, I go straight up to my boy Twin. Shout out to Twin, and Twin gotta get mentioned in these conversations too. But shout out to Twin. But I went in his crowd. I was like, man, throw up a beat. And I remember I went in his closet booth, and I made a diss record. And I remember I pressed it up, and I took it straight to Vernay's crib and gave it to him. I was like, hey man, pop that in. And stood in the doorway while he played it, and he just listened to it. I remember he kneeled down, listened to it, and then I remember after it was over, I was like, and I just started walking away. I remember he just walked by the time I got across the street, he threw the CD. He's like, man, fuck you. Launched the CD, you know what I'm saying? And then he did a record on me that was dope, and but I would say, yeah, you gotta mention Vernay, because Vernay was like, to me, he was the one to me.
Right.
Like, if you want to say who was making noise in Radcliff or who was representing Radcliff properly, it had to be him.
And Vernay was what? Was Vernay a solo artist doing his own thing, or did he have a team?
He was like his own thing, and that was even for me, that was inspiring to see, because I was like, damn, I don't gotta be with nobody. Yeah. Like, I can do my own thing. You know what I'm saying? So, so we learned from him too on that.
Got you. Now, you said when you got with Sean and Kels them, just the conversations about music and the style of music that they were making, you felt like you found your tribe. So when I think of Jon Woo, I always, as a rapper and producer, I think of your East Coast style, you know what I'm saying, of rap, looping up soul, and, Wu-Tang or East Coast style beats.
Right.
Now, when you were doing those beats and you were making, were those the same beats that you were making for Country Boy at that time, or was it something totally different?
Imagine this. Imagine when I'm at Country Boy, imagine me not knowing how to use nothing, not knowing what notes are. All I knew was you can make a drum beat, and if you play long enough and figure out notes long enough, you can make something cool over it. Mm-hmm. That's all I knew. There was no, I didn't have an understanding of the technology or nothing. So it was just me. I literally would go on the keyboard, I'd make a beat, and then I would just run my fingers across the board and hope and pray to God there's a loop in there somewhere, and then I would just go get that and try to clean, you know what I mean? But that's how it was for me back then. But then when I got, after that situation, I got a drum machine. My mother gave me $500. Mm-hmm. This is in early $500 was like $1,000.
Yeah, Blue Boss drum machine. But
yeah, it was black and blue. It was a drum machine, and then I started learning how to make beats. And then that's when I kind of yo, this is it.
Now, Sean, how old were you back in those times when you were running around rapping and running with Woo?
I want to say that I was about 16, 17 years old. Like I said, I was still in school. Me and Kelly was still in school. So I was on the verge of graduating, but I didn't graduate, you know what I'm saying? But I was right around that area, about 16, 17, 18 years old, around that time. It's hard for me to pin it down, but it was around them years.
So, Sean turned, and Johnny and Kels, when we started working together and people started hearing them, they would be blown away by this group. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them would be blown away by Sean, because at this time there wasn't any white dudes rapping, but he was one of the illest. So that would be like a draw. I remember going places and people would ask me, man, is the white boy here with you? Because they would like be like, back then it was like, yo, rap something.
Yeah.
That was the thing. Like you go to the mall, let me hear you rap.
Yeah, spit something.
And we like, bet. Like I would go to the mall, I'm trying to rap in front of, you know what I'm saying? So Sean kind of like, a lot of people would ask me like, hey, where's the white dude? Where's the white guy? Show him the white guy. You know what I'm saying? And Sean would come and spit and they were like, damn.
Going crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, those are those days where you had to have them
Yeah,
have them bars.
yeah,
with
that
the-
bars, yeah, you couldn't suck back then. Like,
Not at all. Not at all. Now they have a style that fits yours. What would you consider Troy, Country Boy, and all of their artist sound? For me, I always would feel like it was more like a 3-6 Mafia, kind of like thing, or would I be wrong by saying from saying that?
I ain't gonna say 3-6 Mafia. It was his own thing. It was like, I mean, the call Country Boy did have some sort of like,
Country twang to it.
yeah, not necessarily in the music, but it's just the vibe of it was very backyardish, family, you know what I'm saying? Friends, family, you know, it was like that. So it was like, it was kind of a little country, but, and Troy himself was kind of like, you know what I'm saying? It was like, I think he shows it more now.
His music sounded a whole lot like this. That there's still a song that exists called Kentucky Basketball.
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Ain't that well, who did the Kentucky Basketball?
I don't know who did the beat, but it was Troy rapping on it.
I think that's the song that I remember was the Going at the Master P or some shit like that.
I think you're right. I think you jogging my memory.
I think that's what it was. I can't remember, but I want to say that's what it was.
Yeah, so back then that was kind of the sound over there. But like me, I was more grimy. Like, you know, I grew up with all the Gregory's, and it was like I was just into like grimy. That's my vibe was grimy. So I wanted the hard drums. I wanted to make gangsters. I wanted to work with MCs, like, you know what I'm saying? And they were like MCs, like spitters.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like hard beats, rhymers who can really, really rhyme and go at you. I thought that was the thing.
Now, before we move forward, you spoke earlier off camera about a gentleman by the name of I want to say Henry.
Yeah.
He was doing his thing. What was Henry from, and what was his contributions? Henry doing his thing.
Henry was from New York. Henry was like another wave of people here who wanted to start doing music, and rightfully so. You could say that was off the back of what Troy was doing and stuff like that. Other guys saw opportunity, and they were, you know, sonically, I think they were better, right? But they still didn't understand the business. They still kind of figured out. But they was doing that thing, and I think it was Henry. Henry's from New York. He had Beeson with him. He had I don't know who else, but he had a couple other people with him, and you know,
I just remember back in the times, it seemed like it was little camps that would pop up, and just for some reason, you were automatically pitted against one another.
yeah,
Automatically. You know what I mean? And it shit just came with the territory. I remember Fox, I met him a couple times up there in Radcliff. There was, I want Thermopolis, man.
yep, damn, bro, yeah.
I mean, that's way back in the day, bro.
Yeah. And see, I think, like, so that's why this conversation has to be subjective, right? Because people don't know the history or other people that were here. So, you know, it has to be subjective to what you like. And, but yeah, Radcliff's got a lot of music history that just never made it anywhere, never made enough noise. But there were a lot of people trying to get active.
Yeah.
You feel me? And a lot of people.
Now you brought up you used to hang around the Gregory's real tough, and from there, after you split up with Country Boy, you went on to do your thing. You was rocking with Sean and them, but even after that, you left from around this area. You would end up in New York with some of their people, right? Some of the Gregory's people, right? Yeah. Up there doing your thing.
Yeah. So I was pretty much at that time. You know, I got kicked out at 17. I'm sleeping on couches. I'm sleeping at Quint's sister's crib or wherever I can find a couch. And Quint happened to have a cousin in New York. I was like, yo, man, my boy make beats, man. You should just have him come to New York.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. I literally that fast. I was like, bet. And I went and stole $350, got to the airport, bought a ticket, and went to New York and left. And that was the rest is history. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, and that was through the Gregory's people, and I was up there for a number of years.
How was that? experience
It-
coming from here,
Man,
growing up
listen.
to New York, and you know what I'm saying? You know, following that dream that you was chasing.
I mean, you got to think. I grew up like my favorite rapper is Nas, right? So the first place I stepped in New York was Queens. Like I got off the train and I'm in Jamaica, Queens, and I'm like, holy shit, really in New York. Like it blew my mind. It was like an out of body experience. And while I'm having this out of body experience, like I really came this, you know, wasn't even there for 30 seconds. Some dude at the bottom of the ship was like, yo, man, are you Woo? And I was like, who the fuck knows me in New York? Right? I'm like, yeah. He was like, come on, man. Walk across the street, studios across the street. Within 10 minutes, I was in there recording, engineering. I was like, damn, it's a different type of speed. Yeah. So, you know, the New York thing was super beneficial to me because when I came back home, I was a different animal.
Yeah. Zashawn, do you remember Woo leaving, going to New York, and then his return? What was that like when you linked back up?
It was wild because I don't think that Woo didn't tell me that he was going away. It was just like Woo's in New York. I was like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? And when he did come back, it was like, damn, you really went there, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow. And yeah, he came back with a whole bunch of just, I guess a different point of view is what it seemed like. Like he seemed more cultured. It seemed like he had been further than these little blocks around here. You know what I'm saying? In this little 12-mile radius that we live in. You know what I'm saying? So getting out, seeing something way bigger than that, I'm sure was like hella helpful. You know what I'm saying? And it just broadened his horizons. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this cat's different. You know what I'm saying? Like he would still throw me beats too. Like here you go. And them things was like gold. If you had one of them things, man, it was gold.
Yeah. And you know, I remember, I think like when I came back first, I think I went and saw Kelly too, saying, you know, rest in peace to Kel's my brother, our brother. But I came back and he was one of the first people I went to go see. Cause wasn't he working at Winn-Dixie or something?
No, Johnny worked at Winn.
Okay, I went to see Johnny. I used to go up there and like fake steal and all that. But yeah, so you know, New York was I'm so glad I went because sometimes I question like where would I be if I didn't leave.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I question if I wouldn't have left even Radcliff because I remember when I moved to Louisville the first time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I remember me arguing with somebody about moving to New York. Like, nah, what am I gonna move to New York for? I mean, not New York, but Louisville. I was like, why would I move to Louisville when I'm everything in Radcliff? I said that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was like I didn't even like back then. I didn't realize how naive I was. Because what if I would have stayed? What if I didn't get out of there and connected some dots? You know,
Right.
So.
Yeah, you have to definitely move around, connect some dots, make some things happen, especially for that career that path that you were going down that you wanted to chase. So New York, I definitely know was a step. So coming back, I know you came back on fire. When you came back, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I seen how people compete in New York. It was dog eat dog for real. Mm-hmm. It was like it's 1,000 people trying to do what you do here. So if you ain't gonna stand out or outwork somebody, you're good. You're done. And you got to think, I'm in New York by myself. I don't got no family up there. So it was like, you're either going to survive, because I don't even got money to go home. So it's like, you're either going to survive or you're going to go be on the street. So, you know, it was good for me. So when I came back to Kentucky, I remember feeling like I went back in time because it was so slow. Uh-huh. And I was like, yo, why ain't anybody doing this, that, and the thing? And I had so many ideas because I had seen them work in front of my face. You feel me? So
Kelly was under the preconceived notion that like somebody was gonna come discover us, like some Star Search type shit. And I think that Jon put the dots together that like you got to make steps. If you want to make shit shake, you got to go out there and make some steps. Take some chances on yourself. You know what I mean? And I think if you could take some chances on yourself in something that you're good at, a lot of times it's gonna pay off as long as your head is in the right place.
Yeah, real talk. I agree with that 100%. You definitely want to do those things. Now, one thing that I remember about you going to New York is everybody talked about this Coca-Cola beat that you made. We talked about this when I interviewed you on the Through My Eyes with One Eye Willie. But you went up there, you made this Coca-Cola beat. For those who don't know, talk about that Coca-Cola beat that you made, how that came and how all of that came about.
So it was It wasn't the beat. I rapped on it.
Okay, you rapped on it.
These dudes in New York was like, yo, Coca-Cola's doing this thing and they want you to do a song. Uh-huh. And I'm like, yeah, right. They was like, no, dead ass, like do the record. So I go record the record, and they liked it. But and it didn't do nothing. But it blew my mind that this opportunity was here. Now, could it have been Cat? Probably so. But to the naive kid from Radcliff, Kentucky,
That was everything.
hopping on a flight with stolen money to try something, to me, I was like, I'm gonna accept that. You know what I'm saying? And I tried, and it was a dope record, but this never came out. But it was like a dope opportunity. It was like, man, maybe I can make it. And that's what I was always chasing, in little steps, like maybe I got a little further this time. Let me do it again. I got a little further this time. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, that Coca-Cola song, like, I wish I had it, man, because I rapped about Coke. I made a commercial. It blew my mind that I could do it. It was like, Coke and a smile. All this, whatever.
Now, Matt Wise, he had a brother, and they had a crew. Didn't they all like this? The Greyhound that go up to New York and all of that too?
Yeah, Kentucky boys. That was Keith, Joe, Joe's brother. I don't know if Adam was rocking with them, but it was mostly like Keith, Joe, and Grim for me.
Yeah, I think it was I remember the Grim name. Yeah.
And so yeah, they were dope. And I remember they went to New York because they wanted to go meet Bone. Bone was their favorite. Bone was at everything. And they was like, we're going to New York to sign to Bone. And I was like, that's bold as hell. And they went. And the crazy part is, like, they had a hard time up there, and ended up sleeping in like abandoned project, you know what I mean? Like apartment buildings. I remember one time there was a story about eating beans out of like green beans out of a can, or some crazy story. That's all they had. But they went up there and they actually got in front of Bone and was able to talk to them. But at the time they just didn't. It wasn't it. But the fact that they went up there, did what they said they was gonna do, and they got in front of the people, I was like, I'm always respecting guys, like, because that takes balls. I knew what it took. It takes balls to do that.
Yeah, because I never forget hearing that story, because I think they wanted this. I don't know if it was Grim or one of them, but I always remember somebody saying, like, one of them didn't even have money to catch the Greyhound. He finessed his way onto the Greyhound, and they got up there. Because I think at that time, if you took the Greyhound and it was like you were running away or somebody, or whatever the case was going to be, like, it was I can't remember exactly what it was, but the Greyhound will get you to a particular destination. He finessed his way and got himself up to New York right there. So that's definitely,
they're all doing pretty good too. They're all doing well too. They got a podcast too, and they've been doing their thing, and it's just good to see them, like, still working together as
Oh, you know what? I think I follow that podcast. Are they
they just talk about, they do like music reviews all day.
the Kentucky boys?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I just rap with them not too long ago on YouTube. We're gonna swap something out. We're gonna get something going on with them too. Man. Yeah, that's dope.
They got a great see, and that's what I'm saying. They have a whole history about Radcliff too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think, like, I'm one of the few people that existed in every kind of stage that saw it, you know what I mean? Even after, like, Bread Boy, and, I was still in it, I'm still active. And so it's a lot of history here. It's a lot of things that people attempted to do. Did it make it?
There was a lot of lineage, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Before the digital shit, man, there's just a whole lot of lineage that went back, that goes back to, like, in early 90s, man, like, and nobody really expects anybody to know that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the music just got lost to time, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it just don't exist anymore. And like, it's just a different time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody can fault anybody for that. You know what I'm saying? It's nobody's fault.
Nah, real talk. It was it's definitely a lot of history. Sitting back here talking about it, you know what I'm saying? People start running your mind, and you just like, shit, I forgot all about it.
Yeah, and that's why I think we got to unravel this whole history, because, nobody gets to talk about it. We don't ever talk about it. And I think it's good for the city, because we're in a new generation, a new age. It's a new group of youngsters out here, and I think we should share these stories so they know. And for example, like, people don't know how nice, Derek Dorsey was nice. Tank was nice. Yeah. We used to be like, man, that dude's nice. Me and Tank used to bump each other. We bumped into each other behind a neighborhood, and we would just battle each other. That's what we used to do. Walk around and, hey, man, you rap? You do? And we just started battling.
I remember my first time hearing Derek Dorsey rap, we was at Sharice Hayes. She used to always have her birthday parties somewhere. So she would either have a birthday party at the Trojans then, but one time she had it at her crib. and Derek Dorsey was out there. Him and Tremaine was just going back and forth. That was my first time hearing Dorsey spit.
That was that era too, where you guys show and prove right now.
Yeah, come on, you guys.
You know what I'm saying?
You got to go in here and spit.
Yeah, and so that was a good time. But yeah, Derek Dorsey Tank used to walk around and freestyle and battle everybody. Like I said, it was Tony Hardin. There was my dude, Jesse. It was a dude named Jesse here that was nice. You know what I'm saying? There was Vo, there was Keon. It was so many people that was doing it. You know what I'm saying? So if you leaning towards more of the participation vibe, it's like there's a lot of people that deserve their flowers. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of, I remember Keon doing this thing too back in the day. I remember that because they used. That's when were they at the youth center that time when the Alex Papa, what's his name, the Alex Papafono dude got something like that. But I think that they were artists and it was they was doing their thing up there. I don't know if they was doing something up there at that point in time, but now I remember seeing them guys.
Now, if you want to say, and again, I'm not gonna say he's trying to like take credit. I'm not saying Troy doing that, but if anybody, as let's say the first person that I was around that I was like, damn, okay, was Alex, because I remember he made a beat in front of me and Dre, and I never seen nobody make a beat like this with a sample. We sampled Desperado, the intro to Desperado. He put some drums with me and Dre rapped over it, and I was blown away because it was like the first time I ever heard myself sound real and professional, and I was like, yo, this is it. It's it. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody, it would be him, because he was the one that was like, man, come over, I'm gonna make this beat, I'm gonna record you. He like showed me what you could really sound like if you do it dope. Right. Same way like Slaw was the first person who did business with me. He taught me the business, like, nah, you worth every penny I'm giving you. Like, make these people pay you.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up next, because after you came back from New York, you moved to Louisville, but you got connected with Slaw and Slaughterhouse, and you started working with those guys, and he put you in position and did the business with you. We don't have to go into the whole Slaughterhouse and everything that you did, but just talk about some of those positions that Slaw put you in to get some of your beats, because you ended up producing for some well-known artists through Slaw, right?
Well, what Slaw did was, I think sometimes in like a young man's life, you got to have somebody to teach you yourself value. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really understand it until I met Slaw. So Slaw was the one. I remember I was going to a beat battle or something, and I was like, yo, I'm about to dip. He was like, where you going? I was like, I'm about to go back to Louisville, be in this beat battle, producer battle. He was like, for what? And I was like, come Jon Woo. I said it. I was like, come Jon Woo. He was like, hey, man, why you? He's like, don't put your reputation up for grabs. You don't do that after you work this hard to get a reputation like you got. He's like, you Jon motherfucking Woo. He's like, you should be offended that they didn't ask you to be a judge. And it clicked. And I was like, damn, you Rush. And then, again, he did the business for everything I needed. When I needed whatever. I remember ordering drum sounds. One time I was like, yo, I need some more drum sounds. And I remember I had to order zip discs. Remember zip discs? Yeah. And this is at the back of a magazine. Like, you can hear the sounds. Oh, this shit. Back of the store. You can't hear the sounds on that. And it's just like, we got sound. And I remember it was $500 for this disc. And I went to Slaw. I was like, yo, I need it. And he got it for me. Anytime I needed bread, he took care of me. And so that's why I kind of understood the structure of, like, it's how you run a business as a group, as, if you're doing music, this is how the roles everybody got to play, stuff like that. So it was a dope experience. I got to be really evolve into Jon Woo there.
Right. Now, my little quick little piece of that's when, FG started doing their thing, or they had probably been doing their thing, but because we were going to recording that Twin, because like you said, you got to bring Twin up. Twin had the studio over there on the block, so you shot it on our block and record at Twin crib. But I can remember those times when you lived in Louisville. We would go, get some gas money, come up to the Ville, pick you up, and then we'll go out to Frankfurt. And that's why I said it was cool just being in them places and seeing you produce, make beats, or, them going in the studio and recording, doing that thing. So that was definitely a time. And I run into Johnny Cook all the time, Lotto. So I run into him all the time. And I see him at the gym, and I was like, yo, I know this dude. But I couldn't put it together until Raj came into the gym one day and they were talking. I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
He used to be over there with Slaughterhouse back in the day.
Yeah.
Because we used to come up there all the time and, you know, be on the scene with them dudes.
Yeah, and go back what you were saying about like we didn't have no studios and nothing, right? Coming up, I would remember that. So when I had that studio, that's why I was like, man, I would make sure y'all got in. I would make sure Native got in. I would bring a handful of people because I was like, yo, I don't know anybody else that got one of these. So pull up, like, you know, and I'm in here all day, every day. And that was such a joy working with Raj and Maine, bro, because it was like, again, they reminded me of affiliation. You know, it was like from the same cloth. They was MCs.
Yeah.
And was more my style, like people who was sharp with the pen. And, you know, it was dope that not only affiliation came from Hardin County, but they came from Hardin County. You know, like they weren't, none of these guys were corny. You know what I'm saying? They were like, I could take them we could go to New York and compete at that time on some level. That's how nice we was. So
I remember just getting those Woo beats. Like I had plenty of CDs with just Woo beats, and you know what I'm saying.
I'm tell you a funny story.
Crazy.
So it was. I was at Twin's crib, right? Twin had an MPC and he had a Planet Mofat rack and it's sounds and shit, right? I remember I flipped some sample and I think Raj was there. I flipped some sample. Raj and Maine was there, and they hear it. And I remember it was the first time I ever flipped like a soul sample and sped it up and put the crazy drums to it. And I remember they was like, yo, that's for us, right? And I was like, and I remember sitting there like, and I'm in the middle of making it, but I remember I was like, it's like hitting a home run and you're in the middle of watching the ball go, but you know it's out, but you're like, I was like that pressing the pads, like, I can't believe this, I'm making this. And when he asked for the beat, I was like, no. This is mine. This is me. And he kept asking. I was like, nah, bro. Let me, you know. But that was just a funny memory. And the crazy thing is, like, after all these years, bro, I always try to find that sample because that was a moment for me when I was like, I think I like, you know, I elevated a little bit. I cracked a code, and I remember I was looking for that sample. I think like 30 years later, but I found it, and then I was like, holy shit, like
That's wild.
you know what I mean? I should try to sample it again, but I think I tried and I couldn't. It was just never the same. But that was a memory for me, man. You know, and yeah. So
Now, Sean, during that time, when Woo then was doing their thing, I'm sure you, Kels, Johnny, and Tyron was still doing y'all thing. Is that when you created, when you guys started up Exit 94? What was that? What was that time like for you doing the music and you getting into your to the music game deep too later on?
There was a moment in time that Tyron had us up there in Bowling Green. He was in Bowling Green, and we was up there recording with Nappy Roots at the time, and that was pretty wild. And I think it was before they had blown, you know what I'm saying? And they was on like 4, yeah, where it was before and I saw that they were featured on the South Park soundtrack. I'm like, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? I was in this, you know what I'm saying? I went to the disc jockey or whatever. I looked for the CD. It's like, there it is. You know what I'm saying? I forgot it was like, it might have been the first movie or something.
that was mind blowing, wasn't it?
Yeah, man. It was. I was like, damn, this shit is happening. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we was up there rapping with it, man. Made it that much realer. You know what I'm saying? Like shit. And we always made raps and records and shit. But like when John took off, like once he started doing the business side of shit, like it was really hard to catch up with him. Yeah. Me and Kelly always made beats, made music. You know what I'm saying? But like it was just hard to catch up with John. Like once it clicked with him, like all right, I can produce. You know what I'm saying? I can do that anytime. But I think when he switched up and just started busting moves, you know what I'm saying? It changed the whole game up. And you know what I'm saying? Whenever we get back together, you know what I'm saying? It is what it's all love. It's how it is what it is. But
yeah, it's crazy that you say that about Nappy Roots. They was recording in the studio because at a point in time when I lived in Bowling Green, we recorded. It was a white dude who they used to record with up there in Bowling Green, right?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I don't know the engineer's name. He wasn't a white dude, though.
He wasn't a white. Well, it was. I never forget. We found a studio with this one white cat. I can't remember his name, but that's who we ended up. Yeah, Bowling Green.
Right?
Yeah, I was in Bowling Green.
Right.
You came down a couple of times. Man, Woo, I come up to Frankfurt, get shit, man. You send me back with shit, I'm passing out. I'm passing out all types of stuff. You feel me? It was just, you know, it was cool to do. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like, oh, you know, it made you feel like you were in that in that lane. So, but Tremaine would also record.
Yeah.
And I come back with a CD. So my whole thing was I would go get it to the DJs and go spin some records at the parties.
Let me give you your flowers real quick. People don't know this, but I'm gonna say it live. But you know, you the reason why me and Ness got so cool.
Oh man.
But people don't know that
Nah, people don't
because
know
me and
that,
Ness is like, that's one of my best friends. Right, he blew up as a producer, platinum plaques, Billboard #1s, and he from Bowling Green. But if it wasn't for you bringing him to my crib, because when I met, he's Philly. Was it Philly Field?
Yeah, we called him Philly Field back then. Yeah, Philly. That's the only way I know it to call. If I see him, they'll be like, man, what up, Philly Field?
One of the best producers I've ever known, like for real. And
I'll never forget that.
Yeah, and I remember you brought him to my crib. I remember him reaching out to me. I don't know who he is. He like, yo, I want to come get in the studio. I'm like, all right, yeah. I'm like, yeah, all right, pull up, you know. And he pulled up. Yeah, Will dropped him, brought him to my crib.
Brought him to the crib.
I was like,
I was coming home. Philly Field was like, yeah, he hopped in with me. I think I met you in Mall Jar, like at the bottom of Mall Jar Hill. Because at that time you lived out there, like right out there by that Walmart in Valley Station or something like that. You stay right out there. So you just met me and I would pick him up. So anytime I came to the crib, Philly Field hit me. He's like, yo, you going home this week? I was like, yeah. He said, can I hop her? Yeah, come on. Yeah, hop in with me.
We would go to the studio. You know what I mean? Go sleep in the studio. And then watching his rise, like, it's so beautiful, bro, because it's like, again, it was the same scenario. Somebody had told him he wasn't shit and he wasn't gonna make it, and it was somebody that was close to us and was like, yo, nah, bro, he ain't got it. I'm gonna just keep it real with you, he ain't got it. And I didn't believe that. And then a month later, he's out of here. He's out of here. And that other dude had to watch it. Yeah. And I'm just like, you gotta eat that. You know what I'm saying? And so I think I'm petty, bro. I think I really am. Deep down, I'm like, I got a layer of pettiness to me, because it's like, you play me funny, man. I'm gonna show you, whether it's tomorrow, next year, or 20 years from now. I'm gonna make sure you have to acknowledge me. You know what I'm saying? But I think I'm petty, bro. Because even that, I got mad at that when the dude. I was more mad than Ness was. I was like, yeah, all right, bet.
Yeah, we definitely gonna make this shit happen.
You know, and then it happened. So,
I feel that.
You know what I mean?
Now, years later, after, you know, you went off to go do your thing with Slaughterhouse, you were definitely out there doing your thing, moving around, rocking with Native, producing major records for people in the industry, rocking with Philly Field, all of those type of things. Bread Boy Entertainment, Tex, Calvin, Cam Dollars, Sweet, and all of them, they would end up coming up on the scene. And pretty much to me, I look at Bread Boy, it's no different than Country Boy to me. It was the local up and coming artists, a part of a label, and they start doing their thing. Were you, you know, what's your experience with dealing with Bread Boy, and do you remember them coming up on the scene and doing their thing?
Yeah.
Because I think not to have this a long drawn out, but I think that was part of the conversation that we were having on the Mount Rushmore, was the Country Boy Entertainment, CBE, and Bread Boy Entertainment, BBE, and just both of their influences for the hip hop community out here. You know what I'm saying? So what was your experience like dealing with or hearing or working with Bread Boy?
I mean, honestly, like, you know, when it comes to like everybody in the camp, I'm cool with everybody, you know, and then I watched them do what they did. And just being honest with you, at the time, I never had a problem with Bread Boy. The problem that I have with a lot of people is not personal. It's, I'm watching you do everything wrong, and you're not even attempting to do it right. And I think, going back to Troy, and again, I think everybody's just naive. They don't know, but they led with more ego than business. And that's what I learned when I got older. And that's why I say, when I look back, I was like, oh, that was ego. That wasn't business. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I moved differently, but you know, they did their thing and they made some noise and they was busy, but I don't think they really impacted like that, because they just didn't do certain things the correct way. And again, still, they're new, they're learning, they don't know everything. I didn't know everything, but that's what, to me, you know, kind of diminishes that value. But was they out there? Yeah, they was the first ones to be in Louisville and be in award shows. And so they were trying. I give that to them. It's just they couldn't figure it out. And that goes back to like Troy. It's like, did they try? Did they give the honest try? Yeah, hell yeah. Like, they just never figured it out.
Right, because I feel like when Troy them and Country Boy were doing their thing, the business was a particular type of way. It was real hard to break into. It wasn't easily accessible to get certain things and to get access to certain things. And then when you get Bread Boy, I feel like when Bread Boy came on the scene, the game had changed a little bit more. So a lot of things were a little bit more accessible. They could push their music out there a lot more. Yeah. So a lot of people knew, about Bread Boy. A lot of people knew about Cam Dollars. And the cool thing about Cam Dollars that I think was dope is that Cam also had the opportunity as a shorty to work with Troy.
Yeah.
But then I think after Troy left, and when he left and went on to go do his own thing, Cam was just he was around here, a kid around here, probably still writing raps, doing his thing. But then he ended up they ran into Tex and Bread Boy's thing. They put that thing together.
Yeah,
so.
and I mean, I'm not knocking it, right? Because I did the same thing. We tried to do the same. We tried to figure it out, and so I'm not knocking it. So anybody watching, we're not saying it for those reasons, but I remember when Cam and Sweet and all them started doing music, and they gave it a real try. They really tried to get out and network. They would be at events, and I think that was the first time when I started seeing people from Radcliff pop up in Louisville. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Which was cool to see because it was like, yeah, we right up the street, and so that kind of started that. I think, in my opinion, they were the first ones to kind of like break out of Radcliff a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, like, who is it? I don't know. Well, then you got like, I guess after that, who is it? Like, you got Rube and you got all them.
Yeah, you got Rube. So that's what I said. Like a lot, you had Rube, 187 Rube started doing his thing. So I feel like this is Rube's era. Now, RP Rube, definitely a super cool cat, super dope artist. I actually had him come on the come up corner one time before he ended up spitting doing his thing. Yeah. But I feel like a lot of the cats who are rapping now would be kind of like up under what Rube was.
It was unfortunate he passed away because I think he was getting a little bit of motion. I think Lotto was trying to work with him right before he passed. So, so it was unfortunate he didn't get his time. He didn't get enough time to do anything. But yeah, I mean, you got Rube and them. Then you get back to the Rushmore conversation real quick. Two for sure for me. Well, I mean, obviously it's just my favorites, but like you gotta put Dame on there too.
Yeah.
It's like you can't almost leave Dame out. You can't, because if you want to be technical, who's the most relevant artist from Radcliff today? Dame is the only one that people in Louisville know. He's the only one who done shot 1,000 videos. He's the only one that been out in LA and that's the only one.
Yeah.
If we're being technical. So to me, he's obviously got to be on there for relevance sake, right? Yeah. And then obviously I got Vernette, and I know you ain't asked me for my picks.
Yeah, no, I mean
we'll get there.
We'll get there. But I want to ask Sean real quick because he also brought up Bread Boy too. Now when they were doing their thing, I think Tex was working with Kels a little bit, right?
That's how I met them. Tex would go up there, and Sweets and Cam would go up to Kels and lay some tracks, and that's how I met them. I never really met them outside of that. You know what I mean? But when I met Tex, I would go over there to him and to his house and check up and see what's going on and see what was, see what they're doing, what they're up to. But as far as that, I didn't really like hang out one-on-one with them. I did was mostly straight up music.
Straight music, yeah. Now, because I remember, I think at one point in time, Tex was just Bread Boy beats. So it was just a beat thing for him. And then when Calvin came on board, I don't know how it worked, but I think they ended up turning into Bread Boy Entertainment. Because I still wasn't here. I remember just being in Bowling Green, and they were coming down to Bowling Green to Good Times, and they were moving, so they were moving around doing their thing. So you heard me, I come back home, and I knew Sweet from a shorty from, when he stayed on Knox, because back in the day, everybody worked at the commissary.
Yeah,
his mother used to work at the commissary. So
I showed it.
We was bagging groceries. You say you didn't?
I did.
He did. Yeah.
So what? So what? That kind of say.
Saturday, Sunday.
I would make $20. I would go make $10, and as soon as I made $10, I would walk down the PX, go buy a Whopper from Burger King, and go to the arcade. Then when I was broke, I would go right back to bagging up the street.
Right. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Get right to it. So, yeah, but his mother worked up there. So that's how I ended up knowing Sweet. And she used to always talk about how, he was rapping and doing his thing. And then when I was in Bowling Green and I come home, he worked at the commissary.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, when you gonna shoot our video? When you gonna shoot our video? You know what I'm saying? And we was just trying to figure that part out. So years later, when I did come back, I ended up purchasing a camera and started shooting videos.
That's crazy that I forgot you.
I used to. That was my contribution. I couldn't rap. I couldn't produce no damn beats. Yeah. You feel me? There was no studio for me to press buttons to record anybody. So the only thing else I knew to do was get into the video game. Because when I went to school, I was like, at first I was gonna go to school for radio.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then when I got there, I was like, I found out about the TV production. I was like, yo, maybe I could just shoot videos. Mm-hmm. That could be how I can be, my contribution to the game.
Like a man of them stuff. You're key like a man of them.
When they used to come up there, I would, when Tremaine and Roger come up there, I would get to book this act. I met the people because, like I said, I was going out there with the CDs, passing them out, so I was connecting with people. So that's how we ended up finding the studio in Bowling Green, and we recorded all those records in Bowling Green. So it was,
I was kind of like the standard though. That opened up the lane for you. Like back in the days, I was kind of a snob about shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, where you get your beats from or something? And if they went from from part of somebody that I knew, it was always kind of like, hey, well, it's all right. You know what I'm saying? And then it was, you got to get these beats from Woo. You got to get these beats from Beta. If you're going to get a video, you better get it from Will. You know what I'm saying? And that's like the prize package. You know what I'm saying? If you fucking with that, you well on your way. You know what I'm saying? Shit's gonna be fire. You know what I'm talking
about? Yeah. And that's what it was. And during that time, I was working with everybody. That's all we did was shoot videos. I call that the open window media and Crack Doja area because Crack Doja from Woo. Crack Doja was killing it, but we were, and it wasn't a competition. I think it wasn't a competition, but it was like a secret competition.
Yeah.
He was dropping. I was dropping. Everybody was just dropping. But during that time, we was just dropping.
Yeah, I think we was figuring out stuff around that era when we started kind of figuring it out. Like, oh, okay, you got to do a video. Oh, okay, we got to post it. We got to, you know what I'm saying? We started figuring it out. And but so I think all the other things before that led up to us kind of figuring it out.
Yeah, because when I came back too, I started functioning with Bread Boy as well. I remember going out to, they were nominated. I don't know if they were nominated, but we went out to the Southern Entertainment Awards out in Memphis. They were dealing with the chick Mia. They had the Rhythm Liquor deal and all of that stuff. So all of that stuff was, back in that time, it was cool to see. You know what I'm saying? And they was moving around doing their thing. So shooting videos for them and, them being in the studio recording, rocking with Kels, them and Sean. It was, cause it was you, Kels, B-Rad. Was it somebody else?
Totally forgot about Brad.
Josh Band.
And Josh B. Yeah. I remember that was the whole little crew. So I remember shooting that. We shot something out by
down that damn graveyard.
In the graveyard. Yeah.
What was I at? Louisville? This summer?
It was in E-Town.
No, I mean, where was I at? Was I at Louisville just
on the move, man.
Yeah, well, you was on the move. You weren't down here.
I'm just wondering if I was in New York or Louisville though.
Yeah,
I think I was in Louisville.
Yeah, you were in Louisville. Yeah, you were definitely in Louisville during that time. So
I think he was working.
Probably.
You know what?
Yeah, there was a stretch.
Yeah, well, you was. Yeah. It was that stretch when you was up there, Humana.
Yeah. Answering the goddamn phone. Getting told, I'm dying, it's your fault.
Definitely.
And calls. But yeah, I mean, the music shit was cool though. And, I think, like I said, Radcliff got a cool lineage and, that story is dope. And, people forget about, even when we talk about like Skrilla Hound or Boss Skrilla, he was like the first person I knew that was like from Louisville or something. And I remember I was like, man, he's famous. He's from Louisville. So, all of these things happened and I think it helped everything evolve. But I think Bread Boy might have been the first label from Radcliff that was like moving around and really trying to do it. You know what I'm saying? So
right. Yeah, so we talked about the Mount Rush. We talked about the Mount Rushmore. Now, before you give your Mount Rushmore, I know you already did, but some people may not have been able to catch that. So you give it to them live right now. But when it comes to the Mount Rushmore, what makes someone eligible to be on that list from your perspective? And then same question for you too, Sean.
So my perspective is, so all right, if it's subjective, then it's just whatever you like, right? But if there's some we can't really say, just me personally, I don't think we could say you got to base it off impact, because really there was no, people did shit, but it was no lasting. It's nothing after that. It kind of started and it stopped, right? At least on a macro level. On a micro level, might have been some people influenced by it, but not notably, right? We can't call back in history and say, because this happened, this definitely happened. So impact, I don't think, I think it's just should be it's more based off of like skill and who tried the hardest. Because technically nobody really made it. It's like, so, and that ain't no diss. I'm just saying, if we want to be fair, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I don't like the participation trophies. Like, well, I deserve to be a Mount Rushmore because I did this for 2 years. You know, if I asked you what was the first phone that made cell phones possible, do you know?
What?
Point is, you don't know.
No. If I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say Motorola.
That's my point, though.
Yeah.
But that's my point, is that you don't know, because all you talk about is an iPhone as the greatest ever. You know what I mean? So when we have these conversations, like, you gotta be careful saying the Mount Rushmores, and because what is that based off of? Opinions or facts? And if we base on facts, there ain't a lot of facts. So I think it's skill set and who tried the hardest, and you know, who longevity.
Right. And I would say when that topic came up on the pod, GB, you know, this area is a melting pot. So not everybody is from here. So people come in here in different ways and then they end up leaving. And so GB, I don't know how long he had been here, what he knew about Country Boy, but him being a little bit younger, he's not going to really know who Country Boy was, who was affiliated with Country Boy, because from my understanding, their run was from like 97, 98 to probably like 2001, 2002. So you gotta think, at those times, this guy's not really, knowing who he may not know who those people were, depending on the time that he came here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to that Mount Rushmore, talking about Mount Rushmore too, I feel like you have to talk about that in eras. So that was a different era.
Exactly. Just to keep it fair.
Yeah, just to keep it fair. So you can't say, like, I don't want a Derek Dorsey or
greatest of all time.
You know what I mean? To be upset because nobody said his name, but
I'm
continue.
He's from my era.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that
continue to rap, so they're not gonna know who you are.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And so
versus like a Dane, when he was like for Dame, speaking of Dame, like when I first met Dame in like 2009, but like you just said, people still today in 2026 know Dame because
that's why I feel like you got you got to put him there. I think he should be on everybody.
Yeah, he had to.
If we're being fair.
Yeah, it's a couple people who have to be on that.
But if we're being subjective again, if this is your choice, that's different, right? It's just who you know and who you remember, whatever.
Right.
But in terms of history, if we're speaking like a real official that's not subjective, I think like you got to put he spot on there for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Now, Sean, what criteria do you think did it take for somebody to be on a Mount Rushmore list?
Probably basically just who I listen to. I don't really look into the business that much. You know what I mean? How much waves they make. If I hear your shit and I like it, then I like it. You know what I mean? It's not really too much more than that. Like all the motion that people get and all the different shit like that don't really faze me that much. If I like it, then I like it. You know what I mean?
Who's your? Let's just say who's one of yours, or who's what's your? Was it 4?
Yeah, 4. The Mount Rushmore.
Who's your 4?
What are we talking about?
Just your favorite people from Radcliff.
Right.
Or for Hardin County. Let's say Hardin County.
Yeah, Hardin.
I do Radcliff.
Okay.
It's Bernay. Everything that he drops, I listen to it, no matter what. And Jay Sin, I fuck with Jay Sin. And I fuck with Money. And I fuck with B. Lee.
All right, so let's go there.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, B. Lee is not... Hey,
I check for them, man. Like, if they drop something, then I check for them.
B. Lee is not from Hardin County. So he's disqualified. Nah, he was. I'm getting him a hard time.
We did have that conversation.
No. I'm just kidding. To be honest with you, I think B.Lee deserves to be in the conversation because he was here in that during time, and everybody thought he was from Radcliff. I feel like, and he was nice. So it's like I think you gotta put him in the conversation. Hardin County.
Please. You know what I'm saying? It was a tussle between them. You know what I'm saying? But when I've heard some shit, I'm like, goddamn. You know what I'm saying? In the Sweets too. You know what I'm saying? They dropped some shit where I'm like, shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's good shit. It's something that I would listen to. You know what I'm saying? Not just because they from around here. I'll bump the shit. You feel me?
And see, at this time, during this era, I'm judging differently because I'm so into the business side of things. You see what I'm saying? So I'm looking at it like, I'm not looking at it like Baron is nice. He is nice, but I'm like, I don't care. Like, y'all, what's the business? What's happening on the business side? Right? Like, is this working? Or we, So that was where my frustration came in. But B.Lee was nice. I thought he was dope. And even the videos he would do, he would try to make some really creative videos. I was like, yo,
Yeah, I gave B.Lee a hell of a time too because I was like, you went to school in Meade County. I was like, I used to always just be on some, just an asshole. Just like, it's different walking through those Meade County hallways than it is walking through the North Hardin hallways. You know what I'm saying? Because if you walk through those North hallways back in the day, like it was certain hallways, if you walk down there, you may end up in a battle. Or if you walk down the hallway with Chris McFadden, Tyrone Lawson, and all of them, you might get clowned. Yeah. You feel me? So you had to be, so you just had to be on point either way, whether you were an artist or whether or not you were just a regular person walking down the hallway. Because back then it was like, they would have joking sessions and it was like no free laughs. Yeah. So if you were in the cut laughing, they might just pick you out of the cut and just ride you out the whole time. So that's why I used to always say for B.Lee, it's different walking in those North Hardin hallways, but at the same time, I still feel like, hey, he is part of that cloth. Like he came to Radcliff, he was with them. I think he's part he was doing those things. Yeah, he's definitely a part of that.
He's earned that,
for sure. And he and like you said though, definitely had some nice records. Definitely got super creative with a lot of the stuff that he did.
Yeah, they really tried, bro, and I give that to them. Like they really tried. I seen them do things, and I know they're trying. They're trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? It's not just like unintentional. So they really did try. It didn't work out, but they tried too. You know what I'm saying? So
I think that Calvin always says B.Lee probably has one of a record that's probably like the most
like stream
record. I think anybody from around this area. So he had some moments. I know he went out to L.A. and he ended up working with, I can't remember the dude's name. We talked about it one time, but I think the dude was is the dude connected to TDE? I can't think of the dude's name, but he ended up doing a record with him. Super.
He did. I know he did. Yeah. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Super dope. So what.
When you said TDE, it reminded me of when he tried to he tried to act like J. Cole was interested in him. And that's what turned me off because I knew it was fake. You know what I'm saying? And I remember seeing it. I was like, bro, what are we doing? Like, just rap, but I remember that, and I remember that. Then it was shit like that I didn't like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because he was nice. It's like, yeah, I do all that. But yeah, he was moving around. He had some moments. He did he did something with BT. Yeah, he busted that move.
Yeah, he did.
And again, whether it worked or not, people me going to New York, people don't realize, man, that's risky, like to take those chances, get up, because you can get up there and get embarrassed or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember, remember Tyrant from Louisville?
Yeah.
I remember when he got on Rap City and got destroyed because somebody said something about KFC chicken. Or you know what I mean? And I remember it's like, that's real risky to take them chances. So I applaud,
Yeah, what they do now, I'm gonna give you my Mount Rushmore, and then I'm gonna let y'all get into y'all's. But before I say that, I'll never forget too, Woo went to 106 Park, took the picture with AJ and Free. Yeah. Deuce had that blown up in the shop.
Shout out 5 Deuce. It's my guy.
Yeah.
Right there. Rest in peace. And yeah, man. And see, people don't know that.
Yeah.
Like Deuce was one of them dudes like, man, come to the shop, play your beats, man. And I just go in there and play beats all day. And he put me on. He got me business. People want to buy beats and so, but yeah, shout out 5 Deuce.
Yeah. Now, shout out 5 Deuce for sure. I worked with this stuff with him when he was doing parties and everything. So it was Deuce was a cool cat for real, man. Real player, you know what I'm saying?
He reminded me of L. and the L's like minded. But yeah, so you
Now, so my Mount Rushmore. So we did that. They asked me my Mount Rushmore, and so for me, I definitely said I had to put Cam Dollars in there because when I met Cam and he was doing his thing, Cam was like he was. You went to Louisville, you went anywhere, everybody knew who Cam Dollars was. So I had Cam. I put Sweet in there because I felt like, and I still feel like, Sweet pen game. Not a lot of people can really mess with Sweet's pen game. I think that if Sweet had, he pulled the Lauryn Hill on us. He gave us This Is Me, then he dipped. You know what I'm saying? And he never put anything else out. So technically, I don't know if I could, leave Sweet in there because he gave us one thing. But just by his pen game and stuff that he sends me today, Sweet got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Sweet's just one of them. I always said Sweet is probably one of the only artist that I really came by that could go and make it up out of here, whether that is an artist for himself or ghostwriting or doing something like that. I think if he figured out how to, do the ghostwriting for people, that he would be able to make a lot of money in the business. Then I had to put my boy Dame in there because, like we said, Dame, been knowing him since I first came on the scene. It was crazy how me and Dame met because at that time he was running with Vance and
I forgot about Vance.
You got Vance and you still got Flippin' Stat when they was doing their thing. So that's Flippin' Stat, Jay Jungle, and all of the artists that he had under him as well. So you had that, and then so I definitely put Dame there, but because like I said, when I met him, that's who he was running with. Vans. They had just came back from New York, a meeting, trying to get a deal. I know he did the thing with Soulja Boy, and he was doing his thing, and then he's still doing his thing till today. So I definitely got to put Dame on that list. But then I also put, for me, it's a personal one, and he probably can't be on the list either because they really didn't do much. But I put Mano because, that was who I work with. That's one of my...
Tremaine?
Yeah, Tremaine. So it's just like, Tremaine.
You can't, though.
But because, we didn't...
Man, that time frame, because that's what, everybody else is using them rules, right? Talking about their period.
Yeah.
In that era... come on, bro. FG was they was the shit.
Yeah.
Maine was, think about it. Everybody in Radcliff knew who Maine was, and they was they feared that little guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I remember my list was more contemporary. You feel what I'm saying? The greats, I can't even come up with it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But people who still got action, you know what I'm saying? I think that's my favorites, you know what I'm saying? Now, I wouldn't say that they're the greatest of all time. Maybe they are, but that will be. Just who I listen to, you know what I'm saying? The contemporary people that still create music, that's who I listen to.
Yeah. And I think my measuring rod is more so who broke through the noise, who broke out of the, who did I listen to back then or through this time frame that I didn't feel like they were trying, they did it, you know what I'm saying? So for me, it would be it would be Affiliation. That was because I was blown away by them. I would say Dame has to be on there on my list, right? I would say Renee has to be there. And then just talking about my favorites, I would say FG. So I would say FG, Dame, Renee, and
Affiliation.
And to me, those are my favorites. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Nah, I mean, and like I said, it all comes down to personal preference. Yeah. Nobody can be left off. Like Sean said, money. When you said money, you talking about Money Soldier, right? Sure. Right. Yeah, Money Soldier and Job Big Body Kai, they definitely do their thing too. Yeah. So you got them, but he also said Jay Sent. I remember when I first heard Jay Sent, I went on a hunt looking for Jay Sent.
Then we also
because I wanted to shoot a video for him.
Yeah, I forgot about that, Jason. I forgot about Flippin' Stack, Vance, and all them. So they were here, So you gotta give them a nod. And then it's dope, bro. I think you should definitely get all these other people up here.
That's what I want to do. I definitely want to do that. Get everybody to come up, talk about their experience. because what we want to do is have, Bread Boy and Country Boy come in and spin their music, because people always say they don't know that we exist up here.
Yeah.
This is HOMI and Friends. Like, this is just a spot, where you want to pod, you can come pod. Other side, we got the clothing store. You want to come kick it, whatever vibe, just get into that, whatever mode you want to get in. This is what we here trying to provide for individuals. So we want to have that event. So we should be, we're talking about having that going on. So
Yeah.
you coming in, talking, this is just the kickoff to getting that, to get that going. So we gonna get there though. You know what I mean? So we trying to get everybody to come in. So if y'all watching, y'all listening, man, tap in with us. And let us know how we can how I can reach out to you and get you on here and talk about your experience and the cloth of, this whole Hardin County, Radcliff, E-Town hip hop.
And if you watching, man, and you from our era, you have some history of our city, like, get on here and talk about it. Like, we don't do that enough.
Yeah.
We don't big up ourselves enough, you know what I'm saying? And I think we definitely should do that. So,
Now, one more question for you. One more question for y'all before we get out of here. When you look at all of this right now, what artists from the area who, would you say had the most impact?
What? That had the most impact?
Yeah. Oh, well, you said you really can't. You
really can't say. I mean, look, all right, I really can't say. I mean, I think I have the most influence.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know anybody even can compare slightly.
Yeah.
Hit from here, right? But I'm not a rapper. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to the rap part, I don't know. I can't say, because I don't know anybody that's. And I've been everywhere, so I'm in all these other cities and places, so I know what people hear from here and what they don't. The only person that I could even say is Dame. That's it. That's the only person that I personally know of that I've been in other cities and they know Dame. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
It's the only person, so it would have to be Dame for me.
Yeah.
But I'm more of a technical guy, so his option might be different.
It's gonna have to be Jon. It's gotta be. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's gotta be. I know we don't like saying our own names for real. But like, Jon is like, he's done so much more than like pretty much anybody around here. I mean, I've listened to tracks with him, with the people from the smack battles, shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Got shit with Wu-Tang. Come on, for God's sakes, bro.
Yeah, I don't think people know fully.
Hey, for real, man.
They don't know. They don't.
Some of these one-off records or I don't even know how the fuck you got, how the shit even came about, for real. You never even told me about it. You got some records with some hard-hitting people, man.
Yeah, I think my first placement was Stack Bundles, which was crazy, because at the time, Stack Bundles, he's a legend.
Yeah.
But he got murdered shortly after that, so but me and Ness was producing with him, but produced with Uncle Murder, Coogee Raps. Like, I've been in a lot of rooms, bro. I've put in a lot of work, Wu-Tang, like you said, Ghostface, and not only that, but the community work I've done and building a creative community in Louisville, you know what I'm saying, shit like that. It's just, it's just a lot of stuff that I've done that nobody has done. But that's the beauty of it, right? Because I feel like I was kind of one of the ones that went through all the moments with everybody, and I broke out and I kind of made it somewhere. And I ain't made it yet, but I'm able to, bring things to the community and create some type of influence. Like, I can do that,
Man, well, you're friends with Erykah Badu, man. Come on, man.
Let's talk about it. I was waiting. I was gonna text you on the side, like, say Eric.
Man, you friends with Erykah Badu, man. That's
my dog. I just talked to her the other day too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was cool, man. It's mind blowing. Some of the people I know I'm telling you, bro, I'm cool with like Banner. The way me and Banner talk, it blows my mind every time, because we talk like we homies. Like, he'll hit me up, send me beats, check this out, bro, and I'm just listening to his beats, or we'll talk about tech or the business, but it's like I'm not talking to David Banner, it's like I'm talking to my homie.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with Erykah. Me and Erykah talk. We play anagrams. I play anagrams with Erykah Badu. Blows my fucking mind.
It's crazy.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's just tripped out, bro. So it's like, I've had a good run, bro.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, that Producer's Corner was definitely dope. I used to always tell people, you get a chance, go check out Producer Corner. Woo's connecting the dots with a lot of individuals up there. So, and just being in that place, man, just being in that hip hop space is definitely dope. So, that was hard. I think that was great. We did a lot, man.
We did a lot, and I think sometimes I'll be in the studio and I'll think about, because what year was it when we linked up, when we first met? It was at the youth center.
Youth center, so that had to be like 97, 98.
So you got to think, we knowing each other from. Think about this. I've been doing music ever since. You've been in this world ever since, right? Been doing it for a long time, bro. A long time.
And it's just constantly evolving. Like I said, it went from, me just, managing to not even managing, just financing, managing, shooting videos to now, doing the podcast thing.
Yeah. And what's dope is like, y'all broke through a lot of shit, you know what I'm saying? Like pioneer type shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Didn't have nobody pointing you in any direction, you know what I mean? And now there's a direction to be pointed. So that's great for the up and comers. At least they know somewhat how to go about things and where to go and the certain channels and ways to go about doing things. At least somebody that's been through that can tell them how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't think Woo took me out put me in the grass, man. Woo done took me to the grass too, man. A couple of times.
What?
Man, me and Woo used to always bump heads.
But here's the thing, but it's like, you know what? Like, people don't understand, like, I think people may not understand our dynamic a little bit because, I was raised by the Gregories.
Yeah.
And you was like, I think me and you were the only two that we were like the adopted brothers of that family.
For sure. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So when I look at you, I look at it's my brother.
Yeah.
So
that's why, and I never really took it as nothing. I was like, I'm still gonna pop up, whatever, Woo, man, Woo mad with me. I mean, even with Tremaine and Raj. I mean, there was times when Tremaine and Raj would get mad. They don't, they don't wrote diss records to Woo. Woo done gave diss records back. We just always had that, but it's always been that thing. And I tell people all the time, like, Woo was my mentor when it comes to this music thing, because I could come to Woo and talk to Woo and just, he just giving me just different little gems. And like I said, I'll be back up at school passing out all type of slaughter house shit and, come to this, come to that, or whatever the case may be, because it was just, it was a thing. Oh, you know Woo? Yeah, I know Woo, man. Yeah, But yeah, I never forget that time when I came up to the battle. Me and Woo talked the whole battle. You remember that thing? It was out there like some warehouse spot. Yeah, it was in Louisville.
It was like a Dope 16 event?
I think it was a Dope 16 event. Woo was like, yeah, man, I go over there, man. You won't come in this building.
Did I?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. You gotta remind me, bro.
So we went up there. I forget what it was over. You know what I'm saying? What it was about. But I ended up pulling up to the Dope 16 battle. And when I came in, Woo, as soon as I pulled up, Woo was like, fuck. He saw me. He ran straight down on me. Was like, yeah, man, I'll make it so you can't even get in here tonight. You feel me? Then we went in. And man, you was like this the whole night, back and forth, talk, boom, 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 back and forth. And we was just kept going back, you know what I'm saying? But it was all good, but it was taking me out into the grass, because during that time, I think it was, the way I looked at things coming from Bowling Green, I was just on some super asshole shit sometimes, you know what I mean? But dealing with a lot of people, because we had the whole thing when we did the cipher. Remember when we did the pit cipher in place? Yeah. So that happened. So a lot of people don't know about that. Like, I was just talking to Calvin about the pit cipher, and they wasn't, and they were like, yeah, they felt like AJ put that event together.
But right.
So that whole event came from,
I remember that.
The whole event came from something that I had sparked, because we had a conversation, you know what I'm saying? It ended up being like 500 comments, and then it turns into the pit cipher. That's how I met AJ.
Right.
Now, AJ financed and did everything for the pit cipher. You know what I'm saying? He put the money up, got the building, did all of that. But the whole idea, because my thing was, we need to create that in the tunnel environment. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, it's a grimy place. You got to be, scared when you come in. You're not necessarily scared, but we want that vibe. You got to come with them bars. If you're not coming,
And that was battle rap era, right?
And that was battle rap era. So that's how the pit cipher ended up creating. I had to go back and show Calvin, like, my cousin created the flyers for the Pit Cipher. That was like 2013. So yeah, definitely those times. Definitely
I came down from one of those.
yeah, but see, the initial one was the only one that I was a part of.
Gotcha.
After that,
Gotcha.
I stepped away from it, and they continue going on with the Pit Cipher. So the initial, because I think that it went from the Pit Cipher to the Pit,
See,
and then Mark D started doing his thing.
I was
and
gonna
all
mention
that.
Mark. So like even Mark, you have to bring Mark
Yeah,
up.
you gotta bring Mark.
How you can't mention rappers from here and not mention Mark when he was out in Louisville risking it all in front of hundreds of people battling people, right? And I'm having to stand there like, yeah, I'm from Radcliff too. You know what I'm saying? I was like, can't lie, deny it. You know what I mean? But Mark would hold his own.
Yeah.
So how do you not give him his props? You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, that's why I think more importantly than, everybody has their own Mount Rushmore, but more importantly than somebody taking the conversation and making it some solidified thing. Yo, bro, all y'all come up here and share your stories because we have a lot of lineage, like Sean was saying, and we should share that and make people aware because I think maybe you'll be more proud of where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't never been in no interview in New York or LA and they ask, where you from? I say I'm from Radcliff. Also, I'm from Louisville.
Yeah.
From Radcliff.
Yeah, all day.
You know what I'm saying? So we should share those stories in a healthy way. And it's not always about being nice either. Just tell the truth. Like, tell the true history. Don't whitewash it. Tell the truth, what really happened. Own it. It is what it is. And let's paint the picture of this whole story. If I had the bread, I'd make a TV series about this shit.
Yeah.
Because we got a cool story.
It's enough material.
Yeah.
That's enough. And nobody outside of us will maybe never know it, but we got a cool story, just like a lot of other small places. So we should share those stories. So everybody listening, Loke should get on here. Dorsey, you should get on here. Josh should get on here. Sean, you should have your own moment. Get on here and tell your stories because you have a lot of crazy stories. All of us, should do that.
Well, definitely. Anytime you want, Sean, let me know, man. We definitely gonna make that happen. Like I said, man, shit. Look, I was on the scene, Sean. I got Sean them diss me. Went crazy.
I think we all come win at each other, but
It was a different time.
yeah, it was different.
Yeah, so I came up from the battle and shit. You know what I'm saying? And basically, for real, I ain't gonna lie. I was just trying to bait people into to do some pit type shit. You know what I'm saying? It was nothing personal.
That's all we kind
You know
of
what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. That's why I was like, man, I listened to it. Me and Cab listened to it. We chopped on the phone. Cause like, yo, they went kind of
I remember the Vernay when he dissed me. I remember I was like, man, that ain't shit. I was like, that's just whack. Then I remember when nobody was, I was like, God damn. like he really talked about
He went crazy.
Yeah.
He went crazy. That was definitely dope.
Yeah,
So
he was a great opponent, man. Shout out to Vernay. I know hope Vernay, if you watching, bro, hope you feeling better, bro. I know you just had a little thing, but we rooting for you, so.
Definitely. And for y'all, those that are out there, I want to go ahead and mention too, we also are going to I'm gonna drop the flyer soon, but we're gonna start doing the open mic night out here on Thursdays. I don't know if we're gonna do it once or twice a month, but we're gonna push that out on Thursdays. It's not gonna be your ordinary open mic. We want to get people in the building so we can get the content. You know what I'm saying? So not just, we want y'all to come in, be a part of it. It's free to come in, free to come do your thing. But really, we just want to capture the content so we can put the content out there and showcase the different talent this out there, you know what I'm saying, doing their thing. So if y'all interested, I'm going to drop the flyer. We're going to get, 5, 10 artists on those Thursday nights. Y'all come out, do y'all thing. But we're gonna continue doing these interviews, we're gonna continue talking, we're gonna continue podcasting. So make sure y'all tap into the HOMI FRNZ Podcast. We on Instagram, we on YouTube. Make sure y'all tap into that. Yeah. And Woo and Shine, y'all let them know where they can find y'all at too.
Before we do that, just give me your props, bro, because like you've been continuous in this whole journey too since we started. You feel me? And you're like the only last remaining pillar in this town that could speak to that history. So, I think everybody should come out here and support you because we don't have a lot of history that's known. So, shout out to you, bro, for even still trying to make it make sense here. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, that's a risk and take balls too. So, and money and time. So, but
because we spending a lot of money for y'all to act like y'all don't know we in here. So I want y'all to come through, get that foot traffic through here, and once you come in here, I think y'all will understand and see what we got going on.
And y'all can find me. I'm everywhere, but most likely find me on Instagram at Jon Woo Got Beats, and Facebook under Jon Woo. So yeah, just find me online, and I'm Erykah Badu's friend. But yeah,
just add me on any social media. I'll get back with you.
What's the at?
Shean Barker.
Okay. I always spell your name wrong though.
That's HEAE.
Yeah.
Barker.
I did that today. I was like, I keep typing SE, keep forgetting.
So yeah, y'all make sure y'all tap in. And like we said, it's the Homie and Friends podcast. Hey, I'm Top South Will, or One Eye Willie, whatever you want to call me. You can find me on the gram. You can find me on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. I'm on all of them. So make sure y'all tap in. But that's the Homie and Friends. That's HOMI and FRNZ. So Homie and Friends podcast. And we got the clothing store over here, you know. So, but we'll get to all of that. Y'all come in, come check us out. Come to the open mic night. We also gonna push out. We're gonna do the verses, but we ain't gonna call it the verses because that's Swiss Beats and Timberland Day. So we're gonna switch that. We're gonna switch that up to the to something totally different. I got something cooking up for that, so we're gonna push that out soon too. So make sure y'all tap in, come out to that. Listen to the music and see how it evolved from, you know, Troy when he was doing his thing on up into Bread Boy and them doing their thing as well. And if you're a new artist, you want to come out here, you want to get an interview, make sure y'all tap in with me. We can set that up too. And we'll just make that happen. I'll tell y'all all about it when you tap in with me in my DM. Peace, love, blessings. We out of here.